I know probably out of time, but you probably, if it's every day, then it's been thousands of times.
Okay,
The threat
time
to
is up.
security.
Sorry, thank you, Ms. May. We'll go now to Monsieur Fortin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to get back to Ms. Lucky. I just want to make sure that I understand your testimony properly. You've been a police officer for how long? How long have you been with the RCMP, Ms. Lucky?
Madame Lucky?
Age myself,
OK.
36 years.
Depuis combien de temps êtes-vous membre?
How long have you been a member of the RCMP?
1986.
OK. Et
Okay. Have you ever faced situations of protests in Canada? Or was this the first time that you saw this kind of protest in our streets?
I am actually trained public order commander, but this is the first time I've ever seen a protest such as this.
such as, oui. Et
Okay, I understand, as you said earlier, that the other protests elsewhere in Canada were ended without needing the Emergency Act. Is that what you said?
The benefit of hindsight, obviously, of what happened in Ottawa, so we could change our tactics to ensure that, for example, big trucks would not stop in the area or park or disable.
mais pourquoi vous avez
Why didn't you do the same thing in Ottawa? Why didn't you prevent trucks from blocking Wellington Street?
Well, Ottawa Police Service is probably in a better position to answer that, but what I
Ouais.
would say is that
le chef de police d'époque nous a
The police chief at the time said that he didn't know how he could do that. But as you see, it's kind of worrisome, Ms. Lucky. I'm sure that you're a competent woman and do your job right, but we're lacking information here. Something doesn't make sense. Because when I listen to you and when I listen to Mr. Vigneault, what I understand is that everywhere else, this was solved without the Emergencies Act. But in Ottawa, we know there was a barbecue and a spa in the streets. There were a certain number of people protesting, and you didn't manage to do it. And you're saying the reason you didn't do it is that there were no tow trucks available. Are you telling me that the security of Canada is imperiled because you can't find a tow truck? Is that your testimony?
no, every protest is completely different.
Non, mais celui-là,
But this particular one on Wellington Street, Ms. Lucky, we don't have a lot of time. I know it's not polite to interrupt you, but we don't have much time. You said those others were solved. But on Wellington, there were protesters who blocked streets with trucks. They had spas, they had barbecues, they had a slide for kids, what have you. It was a party on Wellington Street. And you're telling me that the RCMP, the OPP, the Municipal Police of Ottawa, nobody could do anything because they didn't have tow trucks. That's what you said earlier. I'm worried because I hope there's never any war in Ottawa because that won't be funny. But is that really the problem? They couldn't find tow trucks?
No, that's not at all what I was trying to say. I think I've been
vous
misinterpreted.
avez dit tantôt.
Well, you said earlier we couldn't act because we didn't have towing. That's your testimony earlier.
In Coots, Alberta, that's exactly right. We had an enforcement plan. We were ready to go in. We had tow trucks available. When we started the enforcement the next day, the tow trucks had been secured, and when we started to enforce the next day, the tow trucks would not cooperate. So we had to readjust our plan.
Oui, mais c'est ça, mais vous
Okay, but you did readjust your plan there. But here in Ottawa, you're before Parliament. You're right in front of Parliament of Canada. There are municipal police forces, provincial, the RCMP. It's so serious that the Prime Minister proclaims the Emergencies Act for the first time in 50 years. He proclaims this Emergencies Act, and you, the police services, I'm convinced that you were able to act. I don't want to blame you, but your testimony is that you couldn't do anything. You could not put an end to a protest in front of the Parliament of Canada, tow some trucks, remove a spa, remove the barbecues. I just can't believe this. You did do it because There was 1 week of this Emergencies Act, and then it ended. So how can you justify that you weren't able to do it without this War Measures Act, or excuse me, Emergencies Act? It's quite worrisome, Ms. Lucky.
Well, the Emergency Act provided authorities to serve as both a deterrent and to reduce the footprint so that we could safely do enforcement action, because there was a massive amount of people in the location in Ottawa, and it's never safe when you're at the maximum amount of people. So as the people...
Commissioner Lucky, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off. Time is up. We'll go to Mr. Green.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Mr. Vineau. Mr. Vineau, as you know, under the Emergency Act, we need to satisfy that there was a national emergency. And I feel that at the heart of this committee, what we're trying to get to is the nature of the threat and whether or not this could not have been effectively dealt with under any other law in Canada. That seems to be, for me, the foundation from which we're exploring in this committee. So I'll ask you again, sir, did CSIS assess the threat for security in relation to Section 2D of the CSIS Act? And I'll even give it to you, you don't have to provide details, but did you see it, the MOU and the current situation, as a threat as defined in your act?
Thank you, Mr. Green. And I know you're looking for some level of precision that unfortunately cannot provide you in this context.
When you say this context, sir, if we go in camera, Madam Chair, I'll say through you, sir, if you're acknowledging you're not going to answer my question, I'll accept that. But I want to know, if we were to go in camera, given the nature of this committee, we've all been sworn in. We've identified that this is a coordinating authority with the courts, i.e. as important as a quasi-judicial committee for the purpose of this review, the only one such that's parliamentary. If in a future meeting we go in camera, at that time, would you be prepared to live up to your duty of candor and provide the most basic information? Otherwise, sir, having you present at committee without answering that most basic question, to me, seems to be a bit of a futile exercise.
Mr. Green, you asked me to respect my duty of candor. I told you that I will absolutely respect that. I also have to respect the law of the land, which is also preventing me from answering classified information in a public setting.
Okay, so in camera, I've heard now that at a future meeting we'll invite you back and hopefully get to the heart of this matter, because I do, and in fact, think that that this was unique in nature, and I do feel that it is because of the failure of policing, Madam Chair. The utmost failure of policing. So I'm going to take my questions back to Commissioner Lucky, recognizing that throughout the events that led to the declaration, there have been many concerns about the conduct of police officers across the country, which include officers who are donating money, publicly announcing their support, and in fact taking part in the convoy, which to me is the uniqueness of this situation. Not the tow trucks, but the collusion, aiding and abetting by our security apparatus, including the police. So, for example, Durham Regional Police Constable, who publicly professed support for the convoy, was charged with discreditable conduct and other offences under the PSA. 2 officers from Edmonton were suspended without pay for participating in the rally in support of the convoy at Coots. An officer from Ottawa confirmed, that it was investigating officers who allegedly supported the convoy. Included 6 officers whose names appeared on a leaked list of donors on the crowdsourcing platform of Give, Send, Go. In an unprecedented way, we watched police hand in hand with protesters here in Ottawa. We watched handshakes and hugs in Coots after weapons were found. So has the RCMP also conducted an investigation regarding the conduct of their officers during these events? Commissioner Lucky.
Thank you for that question. There were any of the people that actually were in misconduct, most all were on leave without pay. And I have to say that, public trust is obviously essential for the RCMP to really effectively serve and protect.
So will they be disciplined when they come back, or is that their discipline?
No, absolutely not.
What disciplinary actions will be taken towards the RCMP officers resulting from misconduct during the convoy?
Anytime there is allegations of misconduct, an investigation is done, and in regards to contraventions of the code of conduct, which we take very seriously, and we're committed to handling all the
what security risk, Commissioner? What security risk does it pose that individuals from the RCMP and the military with experience and training were involved in the logistics of the convoy?
the ones that we were aware of, there was, first of all, one that was no longer in the RCMP. That
Sure,
was
but
part of,
had the training.
had
A
the
sniper,
training,
in
but
fact, on the Prime Minister's detail.
the person was no longer within the employ of the RCMP at the time of assisting the convoy.
So what risk do these individuals possess, given the knowledge that they have? Is this unique in nature? Have you ever seen police officers and military participating in civic disorder like this before?
Personally, no. And, information is not a problem. It's how the information is used. So if the information is used for good, then it's not a problem, obviously. But if it isn't, then it could pose a problem.
Particularly when they're talking about dropping bullets in
Mr.
people's heads.
Green?
Is that correct?
Mr. Green, your time
Thank
is
you.
up.
Madam Senator, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.